Okay, right now I'd like to introduce President Steele.
Thank you. Mitakuape, very busy times right now. Yesterday morning, I woke up in Aberdeen and met with Indian Health Service and Medicaid. Our hospital is changing. Our emergency department will not be closed down. Medicaid's going to continue to fund it. But Indian Health Service is getting out of the emergency room. They put out a request for proposals and they got 11 organizations put proposals in. It's going to be, the management and the staffing are going to all be different, and we're going to have a Medicaid monitor there on a daily basis watching them so that we get quality health care, correct diagnoses. But we was able to keep the emergency room open. They closed Rosebud emergency room and they closed Winnebago Hospital, but not on Pine Ridge here. And we're working on the rest of the hospital. We need to get grandma good quality health care in the whole hospital. And then I rushed back to Rapid City last evening and met with the Secretary of Education. This is Obama's appointee, and he's the head man of all education in the whole United States. And this morning, very early, I was with him down at Red Cloud School. I just left him and came up here real quick. But I told him, on Pine Ridge here, we are afraid of that United States Department of Education. Our education is operated by the BIA. And I always keep treaty up front in healthcare, in education, in economic development. And ladies and gentlemen, what has happened is the U.S. Department of Education does not have the regulations. It does not have the mechanism to operate schools. So if the responsibility were given to the U.S. Department of Education, what would they do with it? They would pass that money and that responsibility on down to the state. And we have no treaty with the state. So I told the secretary, you need to get to work in the Department of Education so that you can fulfill those treaty obligations in education. He's very interested. I think we can work with him. He asked, what do you need? I said, I don't know really. I have 4 different school systems here on the reservation. You're sitting in one of the federal school system. Then we have the tribal school systems. Then we have the county school systems. Then we have the parochial or Red Cloud and Oglala school systems. So 4 different, and each one of them needs help, Mr. Secretary of Education. He said, what do they need help in? I said, I know they need help in transportation. They need more diesel money and bus money. They need more operational monies. They need to buy propane and pay their electricity bill. They have to take the monies out of education to pay for those. And he was writing this down. And I said, they got a lot more needs, but I don't know them personally. And so what I did is I called Cecilia Firethunder up because she works with all the school boards, the school administrators, and the classrooms. And I said, she knows the needs, Mr. Secretary. Let her tell you what the needs are so you can help out. But he's down there now and he's going to be here all day. He's going out to Wolf Creek School next. But I'll try to catch up with him later. I needed to come here, Mitakuape, for Bernie Sanders. Let me tell you that Bernie has some power because of the vote he's gotten in the other primary elections, Bernie is going to have a say-so in the writing of that Democratic platform, is what they call it, before the Democratic Convention. And the reason we need to vote for Bernie is to give him some more power. We know he's not going to be the nominee, but maybe he will be. But we look for Hillary to be the nominee. But Bernie needs this power of our vote to get our treaties into that Democratic platform. And that's what I'm going to be requesting of him, is to put, and we will work with him to develop this treaty language. Do you know that Pine Ridge here, we have our borders up? You know there's no state police here. You know there's no state law here. Sometimes we take this for granted, Mitakuape. But all the other reservations in the whole United States have state police on them, and state law applies on their reservations. But along with that jurisdiction and sovereignty that we enjoy, Tribal Council has a full 100% responsibility for everything else. And that's homes, that's roads, that's all ambulance and police protection. And no one takes this into consideration. We get no help from the state, county, any Washichu cities. Got a full 100% responsibility. That's why, Mitakuape, we ask for you to help. We know that our unemployment is high. We know that our roads need working on. And they're going to help us with the roads. We're affecting health care. Now we can affect education. In 2014, you may know it, but Governmental Auditing Office, GAO, says that our students are being taught at the lowest level in the whole United States. And it's not that they can't learn at a higher level. The GA report saying they are being taught at the lowest level. And no one is doing anything about it. But we got the Secretary of Education here to help us do something about that GAO report in education. We need to affect this for our future. We're very proud of Pine Ridge, I say, because of the extent of our jurisdiction and the extent of our sovereignty. But it puts us at the highest unemployment, lowest per capita income. Very hard for our parents to get daily survival needs. I know many houses, my daughter lives in one of them, doesn't have water. And every day they got to get water. And you, the young people in here, people tell you you're the future. Maybe just words to you. Yes, you. You can learn now. You can make a better future for the people. This is why you're learning. This is why you need to listen in classroom to that teacher. That's about all it takes. Listening in the classroom. But we've got Bernie Sanders coming in today. I today, young ladies and gentlemen, am going to, as John Yellowbird Steele, the president of the Oglala Sioux tribe, endorse Bernie Sanders and ask all the wild Oglalas to vote for him. And then, because I think there's national TV here to ask all the wild Lakota, Dakota, Nakotas to vote for him. But we're going to learn things from Senator Sanders on what he thinks. And he's probably going to talk about economy. And this is across the United States. 1% of the most wealthy people are making all the money. And that's the way the laws are, and it can be changed. Minimum wage needs to be changed so that you don't have to work 2 jobs to make a living. He's going to tell you this. These are his ideas as President of the United States. That he's going to pass some laws that's going to affect your life, your kids' life, your family. And so, voting for him not only gives him more power now, I'm hoping in my heart that he can be the Democratic nominee for president so we can go all out for him. Mitakuapi, I thank President Obama from the bottom of my heart. Over 400 households on this reservation have warmer, safer, healthier homes to live in from FEMA. Now he's helping us out in health care. We got top people recognizing Pine Ridge, Rosebud. We've got an opportunity with education, with the Secretary of Education. I'm going to go meet up with him after Senator Sanders leaves. Senator Sanders is next going to Rapid City this afternoon and Sioux Falls tonight. And I hope he wins South Dakota. For him to win South Dakota, it's not going to be you, the wild Oglala, you voting for him. It's you getting your family and friends to also vote for him. Yes. That's what it's all about. Are there any questions? He's coming in. Understand he's a couple minutes out and he's on his way. Yes. And can you imagine, Mitakuapi, Bernie Sanders picking Pine Ridge? Yeehaw, man. So if you got an opportunity, I can say that you're going to probably be in the national spotlight. Make us proud. Give Bernie a boost. Where's everybody back here? But Mitakuapi, the tribe is facing major items right now. And the tribal council is working very hard to take advantage of these opportunities for you. We need your cooperation. We need community support because you know it. That meth stuff is here bad. And I've been to meetings on it with the people from the districts. They're concerned. As president, how am I going to do it? As a community member, we all got to do it together. To say no. to tell our own family members what it does, how addictive it is, how it makes a person violent. This is our homelands. Without it, where would the Oglalas go? We need to protect our land because our land is our traditions. It's our roots, it's our identity, it's our powwows, it's our inipis, it's our annual memorial dinners. It's our, other people don't do that, but we do it. It's our traditional ways. And that's what this Pine Ridge is about. Let me tell you that I met with Environmental Protection Agency, and I didn't appreciate their meeting because they didn't tell me anything. It seems like they came to find out what I knew about uranium mining at Dewey Burdock in Edgemont. And I says, do they have to get a permit from the state of South Dakota? They said yes, for the above ground water. I said, do they got to get a permit from EPA, Environmental Protection Agency? They say yes, for the underground water. Do they got to get a permit from Nuclear Regulatory Agency? And they say yes. And that's for the whole uranium operation. Mitakuape, what they do is they pump a whole lot of fresh water mixed with chemicals underground and blow it up. They make wojapi out of that uranium so they can use a pipe to suck it up. And after they suck it up, they separate the liquid from it again. That fresh water, all that stuff that they poured down there to blow it up. And so we got big ponds of very contaminated, toxic water sitting there. So how do they take care of that? What they do is they take a pump and they pump it back underground. But they say the water levels here, that they're going to pump it way deeper so that it doesn't affect anything. Let me tell you, they're doing this up in 3 affiliated in northwestern part of North Dakota. And EPA is supposed to monitor those wells that pump that water back down in. They've got 1,200 wells that's pumping this toxic water back down. EPA can only monitor 400 of the 1,200. At this uranium mining, they're going to have 4,000 wells pumping that water back down in. Mitakuape, I say this land is most important for our roots, for us as Lakotas to continue to live our lives. And there's god darn 90% possibility that they're going to contaminate us underground and above ground. I've got a special meeting with EPA in the mid-July down in Denver. They call it their official consultation. I'm looking for someone to help me put together a good position paper and to brief me on what the issues are, because EPA did not tell me what the issues were. They came just to find out what I knew. So I gave them heck. They're supposed to protect us. The United States government is supposed to. But this is another issue. And they all seem so great, so important. We've also got uranium mining south of us in Crawford. Do you know who's mining them? In Edgemont, it's a Chinese company. What they're going to do with the uranium once it comes out of the ground? They're shipping it outside the United States. It has no national interest in the operation. The Chinese contaminated their own land. Now they're coming here. There's a good possibility that they may contaminate our homelands, and we got to fight them. Am I talking too much? Where's the people back here? The issues are great. We're proud of who we are, proud of our jurisdiction, our sovereignty, and we just ask for you to understand. We're working on things to make them better. Where Grandma? Where the grandchildren? We just ask that you work with us. Are you going to take over up here, young lady? That's Bernie's person there. Where's Bernie at? 1 minute? You need me. Metakuape. I got a white chick over here needs me. Thank you very much. Lila Wopila.
Senator Sanders will be out shortly, and I know everyone's anxious to hear him and what he has to offer Indian country, but please help me welcome to the stage our panel today, our Nacha Mel Lonehill. He has been the chief of the Oglala Sioux tribe since 1976. From 1992 to 1996, he was the vice chairman of this tribe. Also, please help me welcome Evie Espinoza. She's an enrolled member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe. She was born and raised on the Rosebud Reservation and is a registered nurse. She currently is the tribal health director for the Rosebud Sioux tribe. And last but certainly not least, C.J. Clifford. He's the chairman of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Education Committee and councilman from the Wounded Knee District. And now, please, let's give a warm welcome to the next President of the United States, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Well, let me begin by thanking all of you for being. Everybody should sit down, if that's okay. I want to thank you all for being here this afternoon, and I want to thank President John Yellowbird Steele and President Steele's staff and Larnie Littlehoop and Miss Oglala Lakota Nation Santana young man afraid of his horses, Junior Miss Oglala Lakota Nation Courtney Littlehoop, Tate Wee, C.J. Clifford, Evie Espinoza, and Mel Lone Hill. Thank you all. Reason we're here today is to try to understand what is going on in Pine Ridge and in other reservations. I know, and you know, there are a lot of problems here. Poverty is much too high. Is that right? There are not enough decent jobs in the area. Is that correct? The healthcare system is inadequate. and we need to fundamentally change the relationship between the U.S. government and the Native American community. So today I am here not to give you a speech, but I'm here to listen. But I do want to say the following. In America today, we have a massive level of income and wealth inequality. You all understand what I mean by that? We are living in a country where some people have unbelievable wealth, but a lot of other people are living in very dire poverty. In America today, we have communities where real unemployment is 30, 40, 50%, even higher. And that is why we need a federal jobs program to put millions of people back to work. In America today, many people are working for wages which are much too low, which is why we have to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. In America, we are the only major country on earth which does not guarantee health care to all people as a right. And that means we have got to see more doctors getting out to rural areas, including Indian reservations. We have got to substantially lower the cost of prescription drugs, and we have to be much more effective in dealing with problems like alcoholism and drug abuse. In my state of Vermont and up in New England, we have a serious crisis with opiate and heroin addiction, and that problem exists all across this country. And we have got to significantly improve mental health treatment so that people get the health care when they need it. And to the young people who are here, I want to say this. In my view, we should be making public colleges and universities tuition free. Now, the reason for that is that in many parts of this country, in order to get out and get a good job, you need a college education. But there are a lot of families in this country, and I grew up in a family that did not have a lot of money. There are a lot of families in this country who today simply cannot afford the high cost of college. So what I want to tell the young people here is I believe that if any young kid, whether it's in South Dakota or in Vermont or any place else, studies hard and does well in school, regardless of the income of that family, that child should be able to get into college. Now, as many of you know, our infrastructure, that is our roads, and I gather you have serious problems here with the quality of your roads, right? All right. And our bridges and our water systems all over America. People are worried about the quality of the water that they are drinking. And we've got to make sure that when you drink water, it is clean water, it is pure water. We have to improve our wastewater plants. We have to improve our rail system and our airports. And that's why I believe we should invest $1 trillion in rebuilding our infrastructure and also in building affordable housing. And when we rebuild our infrastructure, we can create up to 13 million decent-paying jobs, which is what we need to do. All right, our goal is to develop a new relationship with the Native American people. As I have said all over this country, the United States has learned an enormous amount and owes the Native American people a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid. And one of the most important lessons that Native Americans have taught this entire country is that human beings, all of us, are part of nature. And we have to live with nature, coexist with nature, and if we destroy nature, we are ultimately destroying the human beings of this planet. And one of the areas that I am very concerned about is the issue of climate change. Climate change is real, it is caused by human activity, and it is already causing serious problems in our country and throughout the world. And that means that we have to transform our energy system away from fossil fuels to energy efficiency and sustainable energies. Okay, so let me conclude by saying, again, thank you all very much for being here. We will develop, if I'm elected president, a new relationship with the Native American people. C, what I understand the case to be, that poverty here, unemployment here, substance abuse here is much, much too high. And together, we are going to create the jobs and the health care and the educational opportunities the people here on Pine Ridge and throughout Indian country are entitled to. Thank you all very much. What I want to do now is we are going to have some folks come up and speak for a few minutes about specific issues. Then we're going to open it up for your questions and your comments. All right, let's start with Tati Wee, who is the Attorney General here.
I'm going to stand to the side because I feel awkward standing in front of you. As mentioned, I'm the Attorney General for the tribe, and so one of the biggest issues that we see in our communities is the high rate of recidivism, whether it's for our tribal inmate population, our tribal members that are stateside convictions, or our federal inmates. Over 60% of our federal individuals that are on federal probation are violated on that probation for status offenses. Over 60%. Status offenses being intoxicated, high on some type of drug. We're in this revolving wheel, like mice in a hamster wheel here, where we're doing the same things, putting people in jail, and it's not effective. So we have to totally revamp the way we look at criminal justice and incorporate what we're doing to treat addiction medically and behaviorally. So I'm glad you mentioned the addiction because of our unique status with the federal government, our treaties give us that trust and treaty responsibility to our federal partners, IHS being one of them. So at what point in time will Indian Health Service be held accountable for the type of health care they provide for our people? When are they going to get ahead of the curve and start implementing medicine and practices and technologies that are effective for handling addiction.
Can I interrupt you? What I'd like to do, let me just, if I might, to make this discussion maybe more vibrant, I want to, you stay up here, stay on, but I want to involve other people. All right, why are so many people getting in trouble with the law? Can I ask that question, Tati? All right, stand up, raise your hand, let's get, my question is, the Attorney General makes a good point, that you have a system that is failing, people get arrested, they go to jail, they come back, they go to jail again, right?
Yes.
All right, so let's start off, help me out here. Why are so many people going to jail in the first place? Raise your hand, people. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, is marijuana a major, take the mic. Take the mic. Hold the mic close to your mouth. Yup.
I think the federal government needs to decriminalize marijuana.
Okay. All right. Are a lot of people getting in trouble with the law because of possession of marijuana? Is that an issue?
No.
All right, Ray, sir, stand up here, please. Paul, get the mic to him.
I firmly believe that on these reservations, since we are so remote, that like this lady back here yelled, she said boredom. Our youth don't have much to do, let alone the adults, so they reach out for in this extracurricular activities to relieve themselves with some sort of chemical or negative influence. Next thing you know, they end up in jail. And I think that's pretty much the basis, isn't it? Poverty is a big one.
Okay. All right, you know what I'd like? And I'm going to give you the, is this okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I just want to involve and I'll give you the mic. I want young people. Some young people.
Right here, they're on this section.
Okay, you guys, stand up. Tell me why people are getting arrested. Is it true that people are bored, nothing to do? What's going on? Young lady right here. Do you want to stand up? Yeah, you. There's a microphone right behind you. If you can hold it, stand up, hold it to your mouth. What's going on?
There's less activities, like, I don't know, just say, like everyone's into softball, boxing, and everything, and then I don't know, I'm kind of.
Are you doing good? You're doing good. Is there not enough activities for young people?
Not enough activities for like everyone.
Okay.
Like, yeah, not everyone, not into everything.
Okay. Good job.
Hello. Well, like what Katie was saying, she said there is not really anything to do around here besides sports, but you know, not everyone's into sports. Some people are into skateboarding, the park, art, music, reading, but we don't really have a place to go, or those people don't really have a place to go. Like for me, I'm a basketball player, and this right here is my place to go. The readers, they don't have nowhere to go.
Let me ask you another. I'm going to ask you a hard question. You ready for a hard question?
Yes.
Do kids here think that when they get out of school, they're going to have decent jobs? All right, who wants to talk about the young man with the interesting hairdo there, right? Okay.
There's not enough jobs available for us because some kids are dropping out and not earning their high school diploma. But jobs out there, they require their diploma. But for us, it's hard because of where we grew up. People aren't depending on us more because of, how should I put this? Sometimes it's dependency. People think, oh, I don't have a job, I need to depend on someone else. No, dependency is when you need the job. They need it to depend on themselves, to get themselves up in the world.
Good. All right, thank you. All right, I want to get a sense here. I want to get a sense of how young people feel about the future. Are they happy with school? Are they looking optimistically to get jobs? And I'm hearing that that is not the case. Are many of the young people here thinking that, in fact, if they do well in school, they can go to college? Or is college just a distant dream, too expensive. Who wants to talk to me about that? I see a young lady over there. Yes. 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 Can we get a mic to that young lady? Stand up. Where's the mic? No, that's her, right. Thank you. Hold that mic right close to your mouth.
I guess our views on like college and stuff, it seems kind of far. Like some of us, we lose motivation, we lack motivation. Sometimes it could be related to home stuff, but I mean, here too, it's just like, it seems far, it seems so far. And
now,
like,
if I were to tell you point blank that if you did well in school, if you studied hard, I would guarantee that you would go to a public college or university. Would that make a difference in your life?
Yeah, it would probably make me strive for the best that I could be, but sometimes there's no motivation, there's like no hope. Like a lot of us think about our future and we're just like, damn, I wonder if we're gonna even be there. Or I wonder if we'll make it there. Will we graduate? Will we get there? Are we gonna be able to afford college? Are we gonna get there and then are we gonna drop out? Are we gonna just like be one of those people that get a chance and then we just come back home? Like, because that's a lot of what happens.
Are you seeing a lot of your friends turning to drugs or alcohol?
Yep, myself included. I'll be honest.
Do you want to say a word on that or not?
No, but
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, a lot of us turn to that. It's the truth. I ain't gonna lie.
No, that's right. Okay. Well, I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. Okay. Let's stay with the young people. All right, let's get other comments from young people. Anybody else? All right. Where am I seeing? All right. Thank you. Let's get a mic, Paul. Do we get a mic to?
Well, I think that the support, first of all, should come from within the homes. We as young people see our parents, our uncles, our aunties doing drugs and abusing things. So
all right, so let me stop you and interrupt you. Again, I'm trying to understand. What you're saying is in many households, parents are doing alcohol or drugs.
Yeah, so we see it and we growing up thinking that it's okay and that it's acceptable.
So if parents are doing it, then the kids are going to start doing alcohol or drugs. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
And I feel that if there's more support there, then we can start believing that we can go to school. And maybe if the college tuition's free, then it's another possibility because a lot of us can't afford school. Okay. And it's another obstacle, oh my God, how am I going to pay for this?
All right, so if I told you that if you did well in school, I mean, you're going to have to do well in school and be prepared, but if you did well in school, that public colleges and universities would be tuition free to you, would that make a difference in your life?
I think it would make a difference. It pushed myself to do better and to show others that we can do it.
All right, let me change. People can talk about anything they want to, but I want to stay maybe on education, and I want you to be honest with me. Are you getting the quality education you think you need? All right, I see a young lady right there, yes. All right.
I think education on the reservation isn't what it should be. The teachers, you know how drugs and everything is a problem on the reservation? Some of our teachers are like that too, and they just don't care about the education that we're getting. And they just think that they want to be cool with the students and everything. And they're not teaching us what we need to be taught. And they're not motivated to teach either, so they're thinking if they don't want to teach us, then why would we want to learn that? And
okay, very good point. Okay, thank you very much. Other comments? All right, I see a hand right here, Paul. Okay, yep.
What we need here is support.
Hold that mic close to your mouth.
What we need here is support from the federal government for our school systems to teach the way that we learn. I took my kids out of the public school and I homeschooled them because I didn't feel like the way they were being taught was meeting their needs. We need to restructure our education system across all Indian lands to the way that we learn. We need to bring teachers up to teach how we learn. We don't need to learn American standards. We need to learn our standards first.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, I see a gentleman in the blue over there. Yes. Stand up if you could, sir.
I personally think that a lot of the problems on the reservation stems from how nonviolent drug offenders are treated in the justice system. There are a lot of people that go to prison for using drugs. I have been incarcerated for having dirty pee, and what they're doing, they're having these kids go to these federal prisons for selling marijuana, and they're coming back with meth connections. And it's just, the justice system isn't really meant for us.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, I want to stay on an issue. I think at the heart of a lot of things is the lack of jobs and the lack of income. Is that true? All right, who wants to talk about that? Why is it? Yes, young man right here in blue. Yeah. Can we get a mic?
I don't believe
Hold that mic close.
I don't believe there's a lack of jobs. I just think there's a lack of motivation around here because there are over 100 ranchers that look for help every day. They go around helping, looking for help, pull people out of their beds just to get help, and they pay really well. And some people are afraid to stand up to them because they don't know what to do when they go to work. And then there's no inspiration from the educated world to help us, motivate us to get
All right,
our
so you're saying
education.
there are some jobs available, but people don't know, have the job training to know, or the confidence to do those jobs. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, we got a woman right back there. Paul, right in front of you. If you can get that mic turned.
Okay, what I would like to say actually kind of touches on all of the subjects. One thing that I think they all link together. The increase in incarceration, I believe, has a lot to do with people partaking in illegal activities to do different things like support their families because they can't get jobs.
So selling drugs becomes a source of income under our
stealing
job.
food, stealing clothing and diapers for their children, several things, crime to support the family. And that because the education isn't good enough to get the jobs that really aren't very available. I think it's all linked together, but I think a lot of it has to do with just trying to support yourself, trying to support your family and take care of what you need to do, and falling back on any option that you have because you have no other options.
All right, everybody hear what she said? What she is saying is that sometimes people are turning to crime because it's a means of supporting their family. Is that true? All right. Okay, I see a hand right here. Sir? All right, don't worry. Yeah, okay.
Senator Sanders, I am the founder of Mazacoin. We are a Bitcoin clone. No one taught me how to code. I learned myself because that level of education is not here. Right now, we have at our disposal some of the most advanced technology on the planet, used by 90% of the world's banks, and that's blockchain technology. Yet, when we bring it to the tribe, myself, when I brought this back home and said, I have something that will help, I couldn't even get past the door. I developed a gun registration program that is second to none, absolutely fraud-proof using the blockchain. It couldn't, I've given it to Miss Mean's office, no response. We have an ID system for the tribal IDs, again, making them the most secure ID on the planet. Again, no one will talk to us.
Okay.
If you become president, would you support the tribe having a cryptocurrency as
Well,
our
I would
official?
support getting technology and broadband of the highest quality onto the reservations of this country, because I don't know how you do economic development if you don't have cell phone service and if you don't have high quality broadband. All right, what I want to do now is I want to bring up, let's see, we have, all right, Tati, did you want to conclude your remarks? Okay, let me go to Evie Espinoza, who's going to talk about health care. Evie? Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stay right here.
Okay, so first I want to take this time to first acknowledge Unchi Marie. Today's her birthday, and I want to wish her a happy 96th birthday. Second, I want to thank Senator Sanders and all of you for making the time to come here and be a part of this event today. Elder once told me the most generous thing we can give of ourselves is our time. And so I want to thank you, and I want to thank all of you that came for that. Specific to healthcare, I know Senator Sanders, you have a stance that healthcare should be a right for all. To us, it's something more than that, because not only should it be a right for all, but we have a legal document with this federal government that assures we are entitled to quality and safe health care. And that is not being provided right now. Currently at home in Rosebud, our hospital is in what's called a systems improvement agreement because they lack the ability currently to provide safe and quality care. Our emergency room was shut down in December. And since then, 6 of our relatives have died in the back of our tribal ambulances 8 miles from the next nearest ER. That is unacceptable and it's criminal. It's destroying families. It's feeding the system, and in my opinion, it's a modern form of genocide today. That system that is set for us to be able to go there and be taken care of and be helped, it's not that. It's destroying the people that work for it. It's forcing them to enforce policies that go against everything we believe in. It doesn't support and foster making us a stronger nation, a stronger people, a healthy people. It does the opposite. So these staff members that work in these agencies are forced to say, either I enforce this policy that I know goes against everything I believe in, or I give up my job. And 4 years ago, I chose to give up my job because I could not support a system that I didn't believe in and I know was detrimental to my relatives. And so there has to be a complete overhaul of how healthcare is provided to all of us and all of our lands, not just in Rosebud, everywhere, not just in the Great Plains, everywhere. And respect has to be given. It's due to what our ancestors fought for and why we have these things available for us today. It's extremely disrespectful for the agency that is in existence because of these special arrangements that were made between our governments to do a thing that
You are saying basically
so miserably.
The Indian Health Service is failing.
The Indian Health Service is failing miserably. And it's the system. The system is not set up and is not compatible with providing innovative, state-of-the-art healthcare delivery that is available in this country today. There's absolutely no reason why the United States of America has the highest quality of healthcare and we get the lowest quality of healthcare provided in this nation. Absolutely unacceptable. We sit here and we talk about all these negatives, they're all interconnected. Right. And the root cause of that is 150, 200 years ago, our way of life, our identity was taken from us. And it created this, what we have to live in and fight for today. All of that was taken for us. So how do we overcome that? We need your help. We need people like you to, one, acknowledge that this is wrong. Educate the world from our perspective of what our history is. Help us, spread that word, help us educate. And it means a lot that you're here today, so you're getting that education. And you have so much broader of a network and that's available to you that I ask that you take our voice, what's important to us back to these people to make it a reality, to fix what is going on.
All right, your voice today. Where's our revolution people? We here? We're broadcasting this? Okay. Okay. Your voice will get out around the country today. Okay. And one of the, issues that I feel very strongly about is just what you said, Evie. Promises were made, treaties were signed, and those promises were not kept. If elected president, we will keep those promises. All right, Evie has made a very forceful presentation. I wanted to open it up a little bit. if people are interested on the issue of health care. What are your experiences with the healthcare system? I see a hand here right in the middle. Paul, get that gentleman. If you could stand up, sir. Yeah, right. Get him a mic. No, gentleman right behind you. We'll get to you in a minute. Okay, healthcare.
All right, well, healthcare, yeah, IHS don't do such a great job. My sister had scoliosis for a while. She's been to the ER multiple times. And every single time except recently, she's came back with just painkillers. So, you know,
okay,
they slack it.
All right, she has a serious problem and she's not getting the attention that she needs.
Yeah, recently she has gotten laser surgery, so she is recovering and she's getting better. But at the time, IHS was not helping whatsoever.
Okay.
So Senator, if I can just touch on a little bit. So what he's sharing is a real life thing that we experience. A relative will go in to seek help for a condition and they're treated with pain medication because that is the most cost-effective way to treat that according to policy.
But it doesn't address the
So
problem.
what it does is then creates full-blown addictions. And then it overflows onto the family and the ability for that family to be healthy. This addiction caused by an entity that is supposed to be there to protect
All right,
us.
so you're
and
saying
help us.
that painkillers here are being given out in too great a number?
I am saying that
Yes.
painkillers are being used to treat conditions that require other
Right,
treatments
got
that
it.
are readily available to everybody else in the United States.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Can I say something real
Healthcare,
quick?
woman over there, woman in black. Yeah. Paul, right over there.
Thank you, Bernie Sanders. I feel so, this is awesome talking to you. Hey, so, you know, what I hear going on here is, of course, across the Indian country, everywhere. The example of healthcare for me would be personally your example is you're going to Rapid City. So you got Rapid City, you got Indian Health Service in Rapid City. And that hospital has not been, that's the same hospital that my mother, she's gone, bless her soul, she stayed in there during the TB time, back in the 40s, 50s, or whatever it was, I remember, that they incarcerated our people there for TB at one time. That hospital has never, I don't think, is still the same back since the 50s. They've never improved the health care there at that hospital. We all are, we go in there. I have personally went in there for something in my leg and came out with cough syrup. So they're not they're not listening or whatever it is. There also is a person in the emergency room that can barely speak English. So this is what's happening in our country. What happens in Indian country is it's called substandard. It's been there since the 50s and 60s when our people were standing up and saying we have substandard health, substandard education, substandard. That's what the government has given us with their promises, is just substandard. They have never changed it. And so all of this is just the ill of the substandard care that the government gave us. No, we had all of that in place before colonization. We cared for our people. We knew the trees, we knew the medicines, we knew that was all taken from us, right? And then replaced into this Western medicine stuff that we never got. We never got that. We couldn't speak our languages. We never got that. They took our languages, so there's major gaps in our generations that are hurting us. So we couldn't pass those secrets down to our kids to stop the suicide. And so that's where we're at. You need to help raise from substandard thinking and care in our country, in our Indian country, to raise our substandard and get rid of that word altogether somehow and raise that consciousness.
Good. Thank you. Okay. CJ, where's CJ? All right. I'd like CJ Clifford to come up and talk a little bit about some of the issues as he sees it.
Charles Tuna, you know, it's a great honor to be amongst you guys and be able to sit and talk, in particular education. Some of that was covered immediately right away, and I want to thank Senator Sanders for opening it up on education. Education is a need that we have every day of our lives. You talk about inadequate funding of the Bureau of Indian Education, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Department of Interior, all the extensions that come that is supposed to deliver the dollar to us. I have a different way of telling my story than Chairman Steele does. What Chairman Steele's is the fact about delivering beef to my people in the early days. Delivering sick beef to my people, and not all the beef that was awarded to us. While today it stands in the world of education is the same way. Today, out of the dollar, we receive 43 cents, and the government keeps 57 cents. And I have a $1 light bill in my school systems. I can't afford to pay for that. Let alone I still got to pay for my education, my students. And I got to pay my teachers. So here in the state of South Dakota, and here in Indian country, the average wage is far below. We're one of the lowest paid states in the United States of America. One of the things that has beaten us is the so-called consultation that the government puts forward in Indian country. They come here and they say, we're going to consult with this item. And this item is what we brought to you. It's not what I want to talk about. It's what you're going to tell me what you're going to do, and this is what we're going to do. Well, today we found a way to battle that. And today, right now, we've taken the government to task in Indian education. But bringing it out with your negotiated rulemaking processes that go on through, and it comes from the senator's office. We need to put together a negotiated rulemaking, and we'll come up with some ideas. But still, even at the negotiated rulemaking level, it is still top heavy with the bureaucrats weighing in more than it allows my people to have say-so, or my children. So, but if you can keep it open, just like you did, that is so beautiful to be able to ask them and lean out and ask, not just of the panel, there's so many questions.
CJ, what I believe in, look, at the end of the day, people know the problems in their own community more than Washington will know the problems. People need the resources, but your point is it cannot be the government telling the tribes what to do. There has to be common ground and working together, and I agree.
Yes, and you know, when we talk about the 43 and the 57, you as a senator appropriate X amount of dollars, but the people that work underneath you seem to take the majority of that money.
Right. Money is not getting to the people, it's going to the bureaucracy.
And before we get on too far, you know, you talked about the treaties, and one of the things in our life here is that we would, as Native people, like to see them treaties honored. Our Black Hills up there that you hear about and you're learning about, they're not for sale. And we want the world to know that.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, let's hear from Mel Lonehill. Mel.
Testing 1, 2. Kokahea la koli wank telo. Lakota tona ya hipi kilina ya itima hel. Uyako re itima hel. Dos ke naun si punhe cha iwogra musipelo. The thing I said was, you know, that's my language, my first language, and that's my tradition, culture. And the
Let me ask you a question. Is that language being kept alive? Is it being taught to the children?
Yes.
It is.
Some say no, some say yes, but we're trying hard
to
put those back into our education system.
Okay.
Okay, the thing is the infrastructure. The infrastructure nationally and locally has deteriorated.
Yes.
You know, it's gone to the dogs. We don't have no infrastructure here due to lack of education, management, you know, all these things that come in this circle of Lakota. It's not there, or it's there but it's hard to get anything because of the education. And then the first major problem that we have here is our health care. I am a vet. And I know there's a lot of vets out there that suffer the health care. I mean, we have the VA right here.
Does the VA do a decent job?
The VA hasn't done a darn thing, in my words, in my opinion. And then locally.
Evie, is that your judgment as well, that the VA is not doing what it should be doing, or?
Our tribal members struggle very much with both systems, and to an extent, they're discriminated against because the IHS says we're payer of last resort, go to the VA, then the VA says the same thing, and then these vets who have fought for this country don't get the care that they need.
Okay. Mel,
So
can you continue? I didn't mean to interrupt you, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, now you go to the VA today, all the hospitals, I think there's 3 floors in a VA hospital. There's 3 floors of secretary. And here you go here, it's the same thing. The administration is top heavy, and the patients aren't cared for. We get sick, we're flown to Rapid City, Sioux Falls, Scotts Bluff, and we're stuck over there.
Let me ask you a question, if I might. Anybody wants to answer it. Does the head of the Bureau of Indian Affairs come here to talk to you?
No. They're so top heavy in the Aberdeen area that the money stays up there. Maybe 30% or 40% comes here for the infrastructure.
So the bureaucracy eats up a lot of the money.
Okay. So we have the major problem here on all the reservations, not locally here, but all Indian country. We only get 40 cents out of a dollar to operate the infrastructure that we have here.
Okay. Well, Mel, thank you very much.
Senator Sanders, if I may add,
yes.
over here. Exactly one year ago today, the District of Columbia, D.C., Washington, D.C., enacted an educational law that says that all schools will teach Native American history in D.C., but they only enforced it within the D.C. area. I would like to see that particular law be mandatory for all states to teach Native American history.
And I think what CJ and others have talked about is the need to maintain and revive Native American culture. Is that an important issue? All right, and that means making sure the young children know the language and the culture and the history of their people. Is that right? And we're not doing that to the degree we should be doing it now?
And non-Indians understanding that. That needs it. And right, but you have so many other things. I look in the crowd and Evie talk about the healthcare system. I know a young lady I would like to call on and ask her if she would say a word or two about the healthcare system.
Who's that?
Miss May Rodriguez.
May Rodriguez?
May is a survivor of cancer, and I would like to have everybody give her a round of applause.
Well, hello, Mr. Sanders, and welcome to the reservation. Yes, I'm on Medicaid, and I'm a survivor of breast cancer, ductal breast cancer, and I just thank God today, by the grace of God, I'm still standing here before you and before my people. And the way I've gone out and had to do this with getting treatment for breast cancer was having to leave the reservation. And
you were unable to get the care that you needed here in this area.
Yes. So I left the reservation. I've gone to St. Louis. I've gone to Utah, and Utah is where and what our people need to understand when you're on Medicaid, you can go outside of here. You can leave. But the thing is, when I left, I had to, you know, let them know that I was staying with somebody in a different state in order to have that Medicaid transferred there. So I've done that. And then when I went to Utah to try to, for the treatment there, which I received, and that's where I got the surgery, and
Right,
it was successful.
All right, but the bottom line, what I'm hearing you tell me is you could not get the treatment that you needed for breast cancer in this area.
Right, right.
Okay, well, that's not
sir.
acceptable.
And-
That is not acceptable.
And may I please mention another thing before I close here? When you become President of the United States, we got a lot of hurting parents here. There's a lot of injustice that is done to our people, Mr. Sanders. My son was one of them, and he was murdered in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm bringing this out because I was told that there's no, that it was out of our jurisdiction here to receive justice for my son. And I was told over and over again by Greg Peterman that it was out of their jurisdiction. But since when are our children out of jurisdiction?
Thank you. Let me just say this. First of all, I want to thank all of the tribal leaders who have spoken. What I have heard loudly and clearly is there is a lot of pain in this community. There are a lot of people who are turning to drugs to escape the reality of their lives. There are a lot of children who may be giving up. And I want to say something to the kids, if I might. I know that there are temptations out there in drugs and alcohol and everything else. That is not going to solve the problem, all right? And what we have got to do under difficult circumstances, and I appreciate that the circumstances are difficult, you got to fight back, you got to get your lives in order, and you got to fight your way through this stuff. Because if you succumb to drugs and alcohol, there is not going to be much of a future. Is that right? All right. So please, I know it is hard. And if I'm elected, you're going to have the resources that you need to get the education that will benefit your lives. We're going to do the best we can to bring jobs into this community so people don't have to turn to crime in order to earn a living. We are going to significantly improve the healthcare system because I think the point that Evie made is absolutely right. Treaties were negotiated and quality healthcare is part of that treaty, all right? And that's what we're going to do. And I think, by the way, that's true not just for Indian country, it is true for every person in the United States of America. All right, we got a lot of work. We've got a lot of work to do. But the history of everything is that nothing ever good happens if people give up. If we give up, nothing good happens. I want every kid here to be studying hard with the hope and expectation you will get a good education and a good job. But you have got to continue the fight to make that happen. Nothing happens if people just complain. We got to stand up, be involved in the political process. All right, here's a promise, all right? If elected president, the head of the Indian Affairs Bureau will be here on this reservation. How's that? All right, I just want to thank again all of you for being here today, and I hope to see you again in the not too distant future. Thank you all very much.